Really looking forward to today's conversation around the speed of relationship. So I did a first yesterday, and one of the side effects of this pandemic that we're in is I spoke to an online mastermind group that I had scheduled and was committed to speak with before the pandemic happened. It was going to be in person, right? You get in front of a crowd. I'm like, yeah, I'm good at this. Yeah, I'll do whatever you want. Moved it online. And I thought, okay, I'll do 2 to 4 hours. And they asked me to do 6 hours. And I was like, what? And so the planning that went into this and what I realized was, and it was really interesting, I was very, very worried. I didn't know how I was going to manage a relationship this way as opposed to a room full of people. And anybody that's been part of an audience at a conference or spoken at a conference or anywhere else understands this, right? As you're going through the content, you're like you might just point to someone in the front row and ask them, so what's your thought on this? Or you might say, how many of you have done this? Raise your hand. Well, you lose that effect, right, in the virtual world. And yes, we can say, oh, you can see everybody, they can type in the chat, but it's still not the same. So the more I prepared for it, actually the more worried I got. And the more worried about the engagement, right? I had all this content and I was like, I've got to be able to have people interacting to understand, right, how the comprehension's going and everything. But I'm probably going off on a tangent here. Yet, what I found was it went really well. And I'll tell you why it went really well was because the participants. And who I spoke with a group that Danny Matei has, Danny and Eves, and they have a group of business owners, practice owners, clinic owners, mostly cash pay, all in the fitness world. And it was one prepared group, and I want to commend Danny and Eves for the work that they have done with this group, because these people came prepared. They came ready to learn, they came engaged. It all worked out very well because of the group and the audience that was on the other end of this. So our theme for today, the speed of the relationship, really came out of me preparing for this. And what I realized I had to do at the beginning of this talk, and need to do always, is set the context for the content. And I've learned this a while back, and it's really important to make sure that people understand the context for what you're presenting. And so doing a 6-hour presentation, it forced me, regardless in person or online, it forced me to acknowledge that I was going to be throwing a lot of information at people. So I needed to make sure, first and foremost, they had the context for all the information. Typically, if I do a shorter 1 to 2 hour talk, I might just dive into selling at the front desk and we go straight into the conversation at the front desk. But now with this 6-hour opportunity, I had an opportunity to back everything up and go, why selling at the front desk? Not just the how, but the why. And where does it fit into this bigger picture of a patient life cycle, a client life cycle, the patient experience? When I was doing that, I pulled out my favorite quote, which is, what's best for the patient is best for business. That leads, I think that slide leads every single slide deck I have in my Google Drive. When I see the topic of the presentation, I double click on it and all the slides come up, and the very first slide is, what's best for the patient is best for the business. That's universal. That will always be the go-to. That is always the greatest context. I started to put the content together and started to realize what's going on with the clients I'm working with, and my experience over the last few months of helping more and more people with their front desk process, the sales process. So the next thing I put into context was the flow of a business, right? Attract, sell, excite, retain, referral. And then we put in the patient life cycle. So with this context of working with all these people from the sales part of the business, with this part of someone now engages us, is that I'm getting more and more feedback and insight and listening into, where are these people coming from? What are they seeing? What are they reading? What are they hearing about you that's causing them to engage, either email, either click on an ad, or call your business? And what I found is universal is this, and it's very interesting, is everybody is trying to speed up the relationship. They are trying to take someone who says, I may be interested in this, into a paying customer. Someone who says, I have more questions, into a paying customer. Someone who says, I need to get scheduled, who, by the way, doesn't necessarily means they need to be put on the schedule today, taking those people and putting them on the schedule with the shortest phone call and the least amount of work, and then being surprised when they don't arrive. So this speed of the relationship is insanely important in our mindset around where does and how does relationship building fit in the process of the client lifecycle into the flow of a business, right? The systems, the attraction, the selling, the exciting, the retention. And this is where we run into trouble all the time. Everybody's into the traction side, right? I'm into my Facebook ads, I'm into my community events, I'm into my workshops. I spend all this time and money and energy. And it's interesting because you as the business owner, practice owner, employee even who goes out and does this and are being paid, there is a lot of time, money, and energy invested. And what we have forgotten is the sales step. And I would argue that next step, the attraction phase, is part of the relationship. It just makes someone raise their hand and say, I'm interested. That's it. Now, there are different levels of interest, right? There's buyer awareness, there's all this stuff, and I get it. But for right now, I want to leave it at this point that marketing is someone raising their hand and saying, I am interested in you. Here's the kicker. What does interested mean, right? Most everybody I work with has taken interested in meaning, I know about you, I know everything I need to know, there's no uncertainty, right? I have all the trust built, I want to spend my money with you. And I'm like, whoo, that's a jump from what I just said. So interested to, right? I know about you, I trust you, I have all this certainty, and I want to do business with you and spend my money with you, versus they're interested. And I'm like, yikes. And as I put in the write-up, there are different levels of interest. And this is where your sales process comes in. I'll just say this out loud. Your sales process is your relationship establishing, right? You establish the relationship. You build the relationship. You establish the relationship. You learn more about the person to see what interested means, and then you put them down the right path. And this is that whole thing about not everybody who calls your office, not everybody who who sends an email, not everybody who clicks on a Facebook ad should or wants to be scheduled immediately. Yet we treat them as someone who should and needs to be scheduled immediately. So when the sales process starts, whether that's your front desk sales associate answering a phone, answering an email, engaging with a web form that was filled out, through a lead magnet, looking at a Facebook ad that was filled out, right? They are now on their journey of establishing a relationship, learning all they need to learn about this person to see what interested means, and then moving them down the right path. So what's the right path, Jerry? Right? So think about this work. Phase 2 of your patient life cycle. It's where I spent all my time yesterday with this group. So we built up the conversation around this, right? What's best for the patient is best for the business, right? That we cannot speed up relationships. Access to people and access to information does not speed up a relationship. The speed of a relationship is still the same. And then we went into how phase 2 is really the most underleveraged, undervalued, and most misunderstood phase of your client's life cycle, which happens to be the first selling phase of your client's life cycle of 3, which I would argue is also the furthest up the ecosystem and the most important phase of a potential, I say clients, I really should. Phase 2, it's all potential. They're potential clients, they're potential patients. And we talked about in this phase 2, how does that role of your front desk sales associate fit in doing all that work I just said? And then determining, do they go to the scheduled path? Do they go to the discovery visit path? Do they go into a nurture path, right? Where do they go? And maybe a couple other options. You must have front desk people that are empowered and understand this conversation. And the secret callers I do and the people I talk to on a regular basis, even the people owning they need to move in this direction, they haven't hired the right people for this. The right people are out there. So understand what I'm saying. They haven't hired the right people. Who's that back on? The owner, the front desk manager, the clinic manager, right? Has not hired the right people. It's not the person you hired. It's not their fault. It's your fault for not hiring the right person. I also broke, which I've done here, broke that front desk role down into its main three components. All three completely different skills, different accountabilities, different metrics of success. So before you can worry about building relationships, before you can worry about empowering someone to manage these interested potential clients in the sales cycle, you must understand what role they are filling in the business. Are they the voice of the company? Are they the face of the company? Or are they the back office of the company? We in healthcare have taken all three of those and just thrown them into a bag and shaken them up, and we drop it in the seats at our front desk, right? And that's not going to work going forward. It's not going to work for you, the business owner. And why? It's not going to work for patient success going forward. We're in this world now of more questions, wanting more value, expecting to pay. I found some old talks from 2 years ago, 3 years ago, right? People are expecting to pay. What does pay mean? Whether through their premiums, their co-pays, their co-insurances, cash, deductibles, doesn't matter. They're expecting to pay more. And I saw this trend when I started answering the phone 10 years ago, and the trend has continued. So you must be prepared. Your front desk team must be prepared, right? Front desk team members, especially the sales portion, the voice of the company, must be prepared to manage these conversations around wants, around value, around their experience, around expectations. Then and only then, by the way, if you just take what I just said, to manage a conversation around wants, expectations, I didn't say build trust, but build trust, right? And understand what they're interested in. Tell me how that is any different than walking into a bar. I used this analogy yesterday, and I'm serious about this. I walk into a bar, and there are 10 females in the bar. This is absolutely no different, right? And I'm single, and I'm potentially looking for a I'm looking for a relationship, sorry. And I walk into that bar, and there are 10 people. Well, they're female, so they must all be. And we go, oh, look, 10 females. Great. All of them want a relationship with me. Go back to the beginning, the speed of the relationship. I'm like, whoo, slow down, bro. The only thing you have right is they're all female. The rest of it, you're jumping way ahead. First question is, do any of them want a relationship with you? And then how would you learn about that, right? And to be honest, you need a system in place. It's no different than the front desk. And it's got to be built around learning more about them, not you talking about yourself. Think about it. It's no different. You need to talk to these individuals. You need to determine what they want, what they need, what their expectations are. You may need to manage and set expectations. And Lord have mercy, you're going to have to build some trust. Absolutely no different than the first phone call. No different than someone walking in. No different than calling out on a fax referral. No different than following up with a Facebook lead. No different than following up with a web form. Absolutely no different than walking into a bar and seeing one woman or 10 women. It's the same process. And I use the comparison to walking into that bar with 10, let's just say 10 people that you believe may be interested in having a relationship with you. Fast forward today, what we have now is access to more people. So now instead of 10 people, we walk into a bar with 1,000 people. And again, we assume, great, I now have 1,000 people to choose from, and they're all equal. And by equal, I mean in their interest in me and where they want to move forward with their relationship with me. That is your number one mistake right there. That is where the sales process starts, and that's what you're missing in your business. The attraction phase, the marketing, gets you those 1,000 views, clicks, faxes, phone calls, whatever. And you're like, cool, they're all interested in me. So I just need to pick the ones, right, I want to do business with. And I'm like, time out. You got this sales process. It's no different. You got to find out where people are in their journey, what their wants are, what their needs are. Decrease fear, doubt, and uncertainty, build trust. And then again, out of all 1,000 of them, right, your goal is long-term relationships. Their goals are long-term relationships. And in this example, I'm saying we can have more than one relationship, right? But of all 1,000 people, are all 1,000 of them going to agree to a relationship with you that includes all whatever the things you lay out? No way. Some need to go to a free discovery visit, right? Another date, right? Some just need some more time, a nurture system. It's absolutely no different. So this speed of the relationship is where we are getting things wrong today. And that is your sales process. Let me throw this out there for you to think I'm just pitching, selling, and nothing else matters. That's not true. When we look at this speed of relationship, when your front desk person is taking these calls and learning the wants, the needs, the fears, the doubts, the uncertainty, building trust, and putting them in these different avenues, they are gathering data and information on these people that they're feeding back to the marketing team. So your sales process will actually improve your marketing. Without this sales process in place, without the front desk trained to manage this process and understand who they are talking to and how to build a relationship with them and how to have a conversation around their needs, their wants, and all those other things, that you cannot improve your marketing system. Because even the people who go into a long-term nurture program who say no today, there's feedback that the marketing team knows. How did all 1,000 of these leads, these people find you? Really important information. That has to go back into the marketing program. Of the people that go into the nurture program, what is the consistency about them? The people that go to the discovery visit, what are the things about them that are common that drive them to a discovery visit? Of the people that go schedule, what is the commonalities between them? That data needs to go back into the marketing. Because, here's the thing, when you go back and market with that data, you will market to people want to schedule today. You will market to people will probably go to a discovery visit. And that's the way that marketing campaign will be set up. They may all look exactly the same. The call to action may be that one different thing. Give us a call today to schedule. The second one, give us a call today for a free discovery visit. And the third one may be just knowing, look, because someone who doesn't schedule today, this kills me, right? Someone took the time, money, and energy to call you, to engage with you, and you don't do anything with them. I'm like, they go into a nurture program. 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, a year. Give them a reason. This is one of my favorite quotes too. Give them a reason to stay engaged. Give them a reason to open your emails. Show them you care. So even the nurture people, there's nothing wrong getting clicks, putting people into your nurture system. People that 3, 6, 9, 12 months down the road are going to do business with you. I would love a funnel full of those people. And I'm pretty sure everybody else would. So this goes back to, they didn't schedule with me. They didn't want a free discovery visit. We toss them aside. Go back to the bar scenario. That person didn't talk to me. They didn't acknowledge me. They didn't, okay. Right? And you go back to the bar and they're there again. Does it mean you're going to ignore them? Maybe, maybe not. But right, in our world, we have somewhere to put them. We have somewhere to feed them some information. Right? That benefits them, not us. That's the other thing. Again, when I go into the bar, if I'm talking to everybody about themselves, if I'm asking them questions about themselves, then I'm building a relationship. If I'm talking about myself, all my services, all my products, what I can do for you, well, what I can do for you is different. But if I'm talking about my services, my products, my education, my DPT, right, all my training, there's a time and a place for that, but not when you're trying to qualify who needs what. Not when you're trying to learn more about that person so you can put them on the right track to getting scheduled. Because again, when you don't ask the right questions, when you don't learn the right things about people, that's the no-shows. People you put in the evaluation track who no-show. That's the discovery visit who no-shows or doesn't convert. So the more work we do at the beginning of this relationship to establish, right, how much speed, how much time, how much energy, how much money we have to put in this relationship, the more work we do at the beginning, the better we'll be able to track people in the right place. All right, so let me see, there's some comments here. Because that's really it. That's the gist of it right there. So access does not mean increased speed of relationship. That's simple, right? So again, walking into a bar with 1,000 people doesn't mean all 1,000 of those people want a relationship with you, and you can treat them any differently than you did when you walked into a bar and there were 5 people there. You still took the time, the energy, your money to learn more about them. It's simple enough, but now you have more people to learn about. So the speed of the relationship is unchanged. And this whole world around, right? Lead magnets, Facebook marketing, TikTok, Instagram, all of it has given us this false impression that we are speeding up relationship building. Right? I got a call, I got to get them scheduled. That wasn't true 20 years ago. It was easier It was easier 20 years ago. I actually brought this up yesterday. It was easier 20 years ago. It was real easy to find out how people found out about you. And usually they were only calling you when they were ready. Nowadays, right, there's so much information. Half the time people don't even know where they're calling. Yeah, I think I saw you can help me with my low back pain. And you tell them their name and then you go, oh yeah, I've got a group of places I'm calling, right? That wasn't happening 20 years ago. So I would argue relationship building, here, you'll look at this, I would argue relationship building is harder. Think about this. All the information, all the access, I think relationship building is harder right now. As someone who's done it, right, in times with no Facebook ads and no Instagram, newspapers and all the other stuff was going on, right? I've been in this 26 years. And all this is on reflection. I wasn't saying this all along. So I would argue that building a relationship is more difficult. And why? Because now there's 1,000 people in the room instead of 10. Now you got to do your work. The speed of the relationship is unchanged from where it was 20 years ago. People have access to more information. They know more about you. Yet the way we manage the relationship, the questions we ask, the moving forward to make it about them, the putting them into the right track, the not assuming that everybody who has called you, clicked on you, faxed you, wants to do business with you today. The same as assuming when you walk into the bar, not all 10 people want to have a relationship with you, even though it appears they match all the criteria. No, right? You got to qualify. The technical business term is qualified people. And qualify doesn't mean I'm scoring you and ranking you and saying you're good for me and you're not. It's figuring out who wants a relationship today, right? Scheduled. Who needs a little more information? Cool. Discovery visit. Who's not ready at all today? Cool. Nurture program. No different. Absolutely no different than it was 20 years ago. We just have a lot more of it, and we got a little lazy because the work, now we have to do more work, right? Because now we have Facebook ads, now we have emails, now we have all that stuff to qualify, right? Now we want to take the short route, and again, we're going from the attraction phase to retention, and I'm like, you skipped the most important part, the selling phase, the establishing the relationship, the building the relationship, the qualifying the relationship, what right track. This is where, and I talk about setting the provider up for success. Talked about this all day yesterday. Put the person in front of the provider that wants to be there. Oh, this getting people scheduled thing, right? My secret callers. Hi, my name's Jerry. I have low back pain, and I want to get scheduled for physical therapy. And they schedule me for physical therapy for my low back pain on Thursday at 11:30. And then I say, why will they arrive? Well, they wanted physical therapy. I'm like, they can get that anywhere. Why will they arrive? They wanted to get scheduled. I got them scheduled. They can get that anywhere. Why will they arrive? They want to get their low back pain taken care of. I'm like, that's bullshit. They have wants they want taken care of. Anybody can take care of their low back pain. So why will they arrive is a coin flip at this point. And now you have a provider with a slot of someone who has no fucking idea what they're walking into. Yeah, the conversation is built into that 10-point checklist. It's on my website, the Client Experience Company. And I've written it out. I didn't realize the work I'd put into that 10-point checklist that was on there. And I wrote all 10 things that need to be done on the first phone call. And then I put an explanation down below each one. And I don't know if you had that, Amy. It's the 10 steps to a successful new patient phone call on clientexperience.com. And it tells you why you need the expectations. And it tells you why you need their goals. And it tells you why, expectation goals, those are the big ones. What I'm going to hold the front desk, the front desk has to understand, again, if I'm sitting with you in an interview, I was ready to get off. Thanks for that, Amy. If the front desk is sitting, if your potential new front desk person sitting across from you in an interview, you'd say, look, I need you to understand what your role is going to be here. And you talk to them about putting a patient on the schedule is going to complete a plan of care. And you talk them through that, and 20 seconds, they should have a like, whoa moment. Especially if she comes from a traditional PT clinic. And I would love to sit across from someone like that and go, tell me what your roles were in your last job. And they'll throw out taking phone calls, getting people scheduled, rescheduling. I'll go, cool, that's not your job here. I'll go, I get that. And that's the role of the front desk in most places. That's not how we work here. And they'll be like, huh, right? I'll say, look, your role here is to get people on the schedule who will arrive, pay, stay, complete a plan of care, and then do our marketing with us, right? Word of mouth referrals. Is that something you think you can do? Well, I don't know. That's the first time I'm hearing about it. Well, you play a role in people getting better. When you take people through the proper first phone call and you understand a little bit more about them, you play a role on them getting put with the right physical therapist. You play a role on setting up their expectations so they understand what will occur from the moment you hang up till the moment they're working with their physical therapist. And if you can do all that, then you can control the arrive, pay, stay, and complete a plan of care. Does that sound like something you want to do? I tell everybody that 1 minute conversation that I just had will cause half of the people you interview to disappear and not call you back. That's a good thing. And then the people who say, yes, yeah, I'm ready for round 2, are the people you want. They understand their role. They understand their role is not, here's a list of 20 tasks, and number 12 is to answer the phone and get people scheduled. You need to prioritize. When you have your first front desk team member hire, you need to prioritize their tasks. You need to give them checklists. You need to make sure they understand what is important in their role. And it's going to be a little bit of multitasking early on. Yet, I'll take this back, the better your hiring process, the more successful you will be. The more better you set and manage expectations in this is funny. Isn't this funny? Because this interview process is you building a relationship and finding out, sorry, no, it's not. It's you figuring out who wants to have a relationship with you. And the more general and vague you speak, everybody will go, sure, we should have another date. The more specific you are, people stop and go, is this someone, right? The potential candidate sitting across from you going, right? Do I want to move this relationship forward? That's what you want. You want people saying that, right? You went to Client Experience Company, clientexperiencecompany.com. On the front page is complete the client experience checklist now, and then download the 10 steps. Once you enter your info, I think the thank you page might take you to a podcast link, and then it'll email you the list. Should be there in a few minutes. I can't control the speed it sends out, but it's the thank you page to the delivery. All right, so I think we're good. Again, the 10-point checklist for your first phone call. And the 10 points are in there with a little extra stuff. And again, it has the reasons for why you need those 10 things. I used to just give out the 10-point checklist. That one I actually wrote in the reasons. So I believe that's a pretty valuable tool. And Amy, I would hope that would help your front desk start to understand a little better why they're doing what they're doing. And again, this interview thing I just said is people understanding why, the why of the role, not the how and the what. All right, 33 minutes. Thank you, Amy, for those questions and that so we could get this to the right place. And the speed of the relationship, man, the sales process. The sales process is your relationship qualifying process. To go from marketing to whatever, the retention, meaning they've arrived, is what everybody's doing already. That's drop-offs, that's cancels, right? If you want to decrease your drop-offs and cancels, have a better sales process. If you want to decrease billing issues, have a better sales process. Qualify your leads. Understand what route they need to go. Is this someone ready to schedule? Is this someone who needs a discovery visit? Is this someone who needs a call back from a physio? Is this someone who needs to go in the nurture system? Your front desk needs to be empowered to manage this. If you hire the right people, they will love this and they will want to take this on. If you don't hire the right people, you potentially will blame them for not wanting to do the work, and I'll say, actually, you hired the wrong person. So do that work that I shared with you in the middle of this thing, that interview process. Take them through. This is your job. Don't give them a list. Give them a list of 20 things, and then you hire them and get frustrated when they don't focus on number 17, right? So when you bring on that first person, you better give them a checklist. You better prioritize their day for them, and they will be successful. That's not micromanaging. Micromanaging is actually throwing a list of 20 tasks a day and then going up there every hour and asking them why they're not doing this other shit. giving them a checklist and setting them up for success is not micromanaging. Cool. All right. Appreciate everybody's time. Thank you, Amy, for your questions. Yeah. And yeah, Amy, for sure, you just need to reset the context. That's all. Right. And so recording the phone calls is really important, because recording phone calls will be immediate feedback. You sit down with your front desk person at the computer, click play on the audio, and it's like watching a video of your performance. That's what you did. That's what you said, right? Some people don't want to do the work. That's why I put the money, the time, the energy into the front end and really work on really making sure people understand the role, right? And how important it is, because you don't want people saying yes who just gonna drop out in a month or two on you. All right, cool. All right, everybody. I appreciate your time and your energy today. And remember that this, as we get more access to more people, doesn't speed up the relationship building. The speed of the it's like getting to a school zone. It's like going from a 65-mile-an-hour zone to a school zone, right? We get all this access, and then we got to go slow down, everybody, right? Now you're going to go my speed. That's what the front desk is all about. That's what the sales process is all about. That's what the front desk success training program is all about. All right. And by the way, that's what the virtual front desk sales associate and program that Todd Wickstrom and I put together will be all about. We've trained them. We've hired them. I did all the hard work. We knew that. The day I sat down with Todd, I'm like, Todd, we're doing the hard work, the hiring. That's why that company is going to be so valuable. We'll do the hiring for you. The training, I train a lot of people. The hiring, that's the stuff I can't control when I go into other groups. All right, so now we're moving it upstream. We're doing the hiring, and then the training, the onboarding, the training program. So by the time they drop in that seat, they're driving your business growth, because they understand how to qualify a lead, how to build a relationship, how some of these relationships take longer. Because why? Because we're hiring salespeople. Welcome to 2020. Cheers, all. Oh, good. Yeah, the scorecards, accountability, right? I mean, the word for that scorecard, Amy, is accountability for sure. Got to be accountability. All right. And follow-up, by the way. So not only is conversion rate and accountability and business success, but there are follow-ups, which I'll assume, and I'm making a huge assumption in here, Amy, but I'll assume follow-ups of people who did not schedule was not part of their regular process before. So, all right, everybody, appreciate it, and I will see you next week. Cheers.